Hey, it's Dan Lear and welcome back. Listen, I know you're feeling great. I know you're feeling more confident. I know you're feeling strong. You know, if you did the exercises yesterday, we're attempting to build references. And I want you to know that the example that we used yesterday, we're using the as-if strategy, putting the table legs under the table, creating the references to create that belief and raise your self-confidence. That's something that you need to do all the time. So just because this training is 5 particular videos doesn't mean it's 5 days. So when you're doing it, you have to do it until you feel good about it. It's about reps, it's about exposure. So I'm giving you the recipe, you've just got to do it. So yesterday, again, we talked about creating that action and putting it into play and getting the references. So hopefully you're using that strategy in those situations to ask yourself, well, if I was self-confident in this situation, what would I do? Boom, you go do it, put the table underneath the leg, get yourself a little more certain, raise the self-esteem, the self-confidence, we're on our way. So today's the last lesson, and I know you're feeling great. So I can tell, I can see your face. But this one is great. So we're gonna talk today about visualization. So you've made some distinctions about your self-confidence. You know where self-confidence comes from. You've got some exercises to do. What about visualization? Now, if I were to say, how many people visualize, or do you visualize? You might say, yes. Well, we all do, but we do it even unconsciously. The challenge is that most people visualize themselves doing things incorrectly or failing. I mean, we do visualize. Most people just don't see themselves doing great things. Most people see themselves failing, which isn't great. You know, your imagination is the closest thing to reality that we have, right? So here's what I'm going to share with you first. There was a book that came out in 1960. It was a guy named Matthew Maltz. He was the author. And the book was called Psycho-Cybernetics. And Psycho-Cybernetics really proved that the human being, the human mind, cannot tell the difference between something that we imagined and something that actually took place. I mean, think about it. We've all had dreams, right? You've woken up from a dream that was so real that you didn't even know what was happening at the time. You didn't even know if it was true or not, right? You woke up in the middle of that dream and you were scared or you were excited or whatever it was, but you were there and you thought it was real. And the reason why that's true is that all of your senses are engaged. So when you're having a dream and you feel like it's so real, you're hearing it, you're tasting it, you're smelling it, it goes all through the senses, and that convinces your brain that it's actually true. So what Matthew Maltz realized when he wrote this book is he was actually a brain surgeon and a psychologist, and he created multiple studies, and he determined that the mind cannot tell the difference between something you vividly imagine and something that actually takes place. And that's why visualization is so powerful. So I'm going to teach you a strategy on how to visualize so that you can do it with some structure. You know, because people talk about, hey, visualize, but you know, it's a very creative process, and some people have a difficult time focusing, like myself, and other people just don't know where to go and what to do. So I created this process for me because I had a hard time focusing, and I think it'll help you. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to come up with a vision, something that you want to accomplish. Okay, let's just say that, again, we want to build our self-confidence, and one of the things we wanted to do is get better at meeting people. That's what we want to do, you know, in a casual situation where we're at a party or a get-together. Okay, let's just say that's the situation, because I want to help you design this. So now what I want you to do is think about, we want to create a vision, like a movie clip, about a 5 to 6 to 7 second movie clip in your mind about you walking into that party or to that engagement and you seeing people and waving and shaking hands and giving high fives and whatever it is that you do, right? But you want to walk into an environment, maybe it's a meeting environment. And let's just say, for the sake of it, let's just get on the same page. Let's just say it's an environment, it's a party type thing, it's a casual, it's a networking, after hours type thing. And that's something you're not very good at. You're not good at meeting people. So again, we came up with the strategy, the 4-point connection strategy, to help you have something to say in a business environment, which is extremely helpful. And now obviously you just got to do it. And we've talked about things in the past that's going to help us do it. Today we're going to visualize it. So here, back on track. We're creating this 6 to 7 second image of you walking into a party or a get-together, whatever it is, and you seeing people. So here's what I want you to do. Think about your life right now, and I want you to walk into this situation, all right? And I want you to think about who would be there or what would be there, and you have to create it in your mind. So for instance, one of the exercises that I did in my life, when I was young, I didn't have a lot of self-confidence in regards to meeting successful people. I grew up in a rural environment where nobody ever wore suits, and so I literally was intimidated by people who wore suits. That sounds crazy, right? So then I start working for Tony Robbins, and I'm going out into these, incredible high rises and penthouses and boardrooms up in these, in Manhattan and in Boston, and I'm meeting these successful people, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. So here's what I did. I created a visualization of me walking into this boardroom, because this really happened. I walked into this boardroom to give a small presentation to about 8 people. And as they opened up these double doors, it was just beautiful. You could see I don't know what body of water it is, but it was in Boston. It could have been the harbor, I don't know what it was. But I could see it. And I walked in there, I could smell the oak tables. I could smell this big, it wasn't oak tables, it was a big conference boardroom oak table. I could smell it. I could hear the voices of the man who reached out his hand to say, "Hi, Dan. It's great you're here. We're excited to hear you speak." I could hear his voice. I felt his hand. I shook his hand. I could feel the strength in his hand and also the coarseness of his hands. And then I shook the female's hand. She was wearing a kind of a reddish type of a jacket with a white undergarment, I guess, a blouse, and then a red skirt and red shoes. And I could smell her perfume. I could feel her hands, much softer. I remember her bracelet she had out. She had these kind of pearl things on her bracelet. And I could see those, and I could hear her voice as well. And I could smell it. I could hear the voices. And so that's the vision I had in my head. So in this vision I had in my head, I walk into this big boardroom. I can smell the oak table. I can see the Boston Harbor. I reach out the hand. I can feel the touch of the gentleman's hand. I can feel the coarseness of his hand, the strength in his hand, and I can hear his voice. And then the woman shakes her hand as well. And I can feel her and smell her perfume and all that stuff. And so that's the vision that I made inside of my head, right? I created that. I see it, I feel it, I hear it, and I ran it in my head. And so what I did was I created this strategy. And I call it And the replay strategy is a formalized, structured format, if you will, to get your visualization in. So here's how you do it. Now you got your clip, right? I want you to think about what that is. I want you to write down what happens in that clip, right? You just heard mine. I gave you a longer story instead of a short story, but I want you to create yours. What happens in your little in your vision, in your little film clip, your 6-second film clip? What happens? You walk into the room, you hear your name, you wave your hand maybe, you walk up to some people, they don't know who you are, you look at them, you reach out your hand confidently and you shake their hand, you feel their hand, you maybe see what they're wearing, you hear their voice. So that's the vision you have to come up with. And I want you to write down what it looks like. So we're gonna take a break, we're gonna pause the training video. I want you to write out what you smell, what you hear, what you taste, what you feel, all for your senses. Like for instance, if you were a basketball player and you were wanting to improve on your confidence shooting your free throws, then you would imagine yourself at the free throw line. You could feel the leather in the ball. You would bounce the ball 3 times or whatever you chose. You could feel the sweat coming down your face. You could hear the crowd, you could hear the cheerleaders, you could see the scoreboard, you could hear the horn, you could see the other players. You can smell the gymnasium. You shoot it, boom, it's a swish. You can hear the net pop, then you hear the crowd clap. So that would be for a basketball player. So we're gonna pause the tape. You're gonna write down what your video looks like. Your imagination, you create this thing, smell it, taste it, hear it, feel it. What's it look like? What's the scenario look like? 5 or 6 seconds, and then I'm gonna run you through the process. Pause the tape, pause the tape, pause the training. Here we go. All right, we're back. So here's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna employ the replay strategy. And what the replay strategy says is we're gonna do 2 sets of 5. That's 10 reps per day. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. So I'm gonna do it to you right now. So here's what I want you to do. I'm gonna say close your eyes. You're gonna close your eyes. I'm just gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, stop. Then I'm gonna say go. We're gonna do it 5 times. You're gonna get 5 reps in your head of you doing this exercise. So I'm gonna do it once with you so you know how to do it. Here we go. Ready? The goal is you're gonna visualize this process that you came up with. You're gonna hear it, see it, feel it, taste it in your mind over a 5 or 6 second deal. I'm gonna say go, you're gonna hear me count, and then I'm gonna say stop, and I'm gonna say go again, and you're gonna hear me count, then you're gonna visualize again. So I'm doing 5. I'm gonna do 1 stop, 1 stop, 1 stop, and then we're gonna go all the way to 5 and we're done. All right, here we go. Eyes closed. Here we go. And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stop. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stop. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stop. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stop. Last one, eyes closed. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stop. All right, good job, eyes open. So it's simple, it's very easy. And so what I would do is put a note card by your bed or set an alarm on your phone. And you can set the phone alarm for right before you go to bed or right when you wake up, and that's your alarm to do your 5 reps, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Or put it on a note card by your bedstand, your nightstand. Do the replay strategy. So here's the power of the replay strategy. Remember, if you don't take control of your mind, someone else will. So you've got to create your visualization, because if you don't, stuff that starts going in there and you see things that aren't going right. So we want to control our visualization. All right, you do that for a week. Look at this, watch this. Do that for a week. That's 70 reps. You saw 70 successful occurrences for yourself. That's 1 week. Well, you know what's happening now, right? 1 month. 300 successful occurrences. You've seen yourself in your mind. You've heard it, you've felt it, you've tasted it. If you walking in that networking event or that casual after work party or whatever, and you're shaking people's hands, you're meeting people, you're smiling, you can feel them, the whole deal, right? You've done that 300 times in a month, right? The mind doesn't know anything different than something you actually imagine and something that actually took place. Over the course of a year, 3,000 plus occurrences, right? Boom. That's what it is right there. It's the reps. So you got to get yourself to do that. It's called the replay strategy. You want to build your self-confidence, we also have to work from the inside out. I've given you some tools to use, some strategies that you're doing every single day. And remember, this is an inside-out job. We got to start on the inside, visualize with the replay strategy. Okay? Now you got that, right? You do that every single day, at least 10 times a day. Don't do it too many. I don't want you to get there too quickly. But this will get you 300 reps in a month over 3,000 in a year. If you just want to double it, then double it, make it happen. Last thing we're going to talk about today, this is imperative. It's your environment, okay? I like to call it the law of environment. You are only going to go as far as the people that you hang around. So I'm sharing with you right now. I'm here to help you. I'm your friend, I'm your coach, I'm your consultant, and I'm here to tell you right now that you're not going to level up any farther than your friends are. So what you've got to do is you've got to decide what friends you want to be like and what friends are going in the direction that you want to go in. I'm telling you right now, human beings are interesting. If there's a lot of people that struggle with self-esteem and self-confidence, and oftentimes they kind of get attracted to one another. It's just the way it goes. So when one person starts rising up, they're making changes, you're implementing things, you're taking this class, you're investing in yourself, you start to get up. Guess what it does to the other person? It makes them feel uncomfortable because you're getting better and they're not. So you've got to be careful. When you start hearing language patterns and listen, if someone's talking to you in a sarcastic manner and saying, oh, you know how you don't like to meet people, or yeah, I'm sure that's gonna happen. Any type of those comments that are reaffirming negativism, we gotta go. I mean, we don't have time for that. We gotta hang around people who are looking to grow, who are encouraging, who want you to get better. And so that's something that you have to decide. That's a real deal. It's called the law of environment. You will not accelerate faster or farther than the people that you engage with on a daily basis. Now, some people have tough environments where, I don't have anybody around me. Well, then you really have to realize you got to dive into this. You got to dive into these courses. I have other courses. I have a whole training platform. You have to engage your mind and understand you have to create your own reality. And then you've got to pick out some of these things that people are saying to you and realize that they just don't know any different and they don't understand, right? But you've got to invest in yourself. So, law of environment, you've got to make changes. And if you're not able to make changes, you've got to recognize. It's not that easy just to, okay, I'm going to change all my friends, but recognize who is your friend and who is not your friend. Recognize who wants to lift you up and who wants to hold you down. And your goal is you've got to be around the people who want you to be the best you could be most of the time. That's your goal. You have to be around people who are like-minded, open-minded, want to get better, say positive things. No sarcasm, no negative comments. We don't need that. There's plenty of people out there that want to help you. There's plenty of people out there that want to get better. You just need to find those people. So listen, I'm proud of you. You've invested in this course. You invested in you. You've went through the course. Now you've just got to keep doing it. If you just watched this course and you watched all 5 of these lessons and, I don't feel any better. Well, you've got to do it. This works. I know it works. I've done it with hundreds, if not thousands of people around the world. You've got to engage it and you've got to do it. Remember, it's just like going to the gym. You don't get in shape unless you actually go to the gym. You don't get better at golf unless you actually practice. You don't just get great at golf by watching golf videos. You've got to do it. Same here. We've laid out the format for you. I've given you the instructions. You got to do it. So, hey, listen, it's been great. Thank you so much for investing your time and spending your time with me. My goal is to help you get to where you want to go as fast as you can and engage yourself and maximize your true potential. So, thank you so much. My name is Dan Lear. We've got other courses. Make sure you check out our 21 Principles to Wealth, Freedom, Health, and Happiness, our entire Sales Mastery course, our Peak Performance course, our Parenting course. We've got courses. Stay on the right track. Keep believing. My name is Dan Lear. Let's make it happen.